From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you into this Friday's edition of For the People on this August the 25th, 2017. The big story in our country, Hurricane Harvey. Now, it could be the strongest hurricane to hit the U.S. in 12 years, and we were up to a Cat 2, and now, according to weather forecasters at the National Hurricane Center, they're saying this could be a Cat 3, which means well over 100 miles per hour. This could be a big monster. The storm's approach triggered evacuations, forced the cancellation of classes today at dozens of schools along the South Texas coast, home to 5.8 million people from Corpus Christi to Galveston. It's also forcing the cancellation of many flights, delay of at least 40 flights in and out of major airports in Texas. According to FlightWare.com, it's a site that tracks airline traffic, so you can look at that yourself. It's FlightWare.com. Louisiana and Texas declared state of disasters, authorizing the use of state resources to prepare for the storm. And President Donald Trump has been briefed and is ready to provide resources if necessary. And he's been telling residents, for those that have been defiant already, even though after the governor, Greg Abbott, has said, get out, Trump has said you'd be really foolish to stay here. Get out, too. So even Donald Trump has been telling people to heed the warnings. But you're always going to get folks defiant. You saw that in New Orleans, remember? You'd have people on rooftops, and they were stuck out for days and hungry, had no food, but they had ample time to get out. But, you know, their people are people. Early this morning, it grew into a Cat 2, and winds were 105. But, man, the Gulf waters, as it really stirs up here, the forecaster is saying now coming ashore as a Category 3. That's the latest for the National Hurricane Center. It's the third most powerful on the Saffir-Simpson scale. That would make it the first major hurricane to hit the mainland United States since Hurricane Wilma struck Florida in 2005. Up to 35 inches of rain expected over parts of Texas. 35 inches, folks. Winds up to 125 miles an hour. Sea levels may surge up to 12 feet. And Louisiana could get 10 to 15 inches of rain. Flood warnings are in effect for Louisiana and northern Mexico. Life-threatening is what they're calling it. Devastating flooding expected near the coast due to heavy rainfall and storm surge. People need to get the heck out of Dodge, that's for sure. And like I said, the first hour, if you didn't get the first hour, we said our household, the Allen household, we're going to get some water. We're already just getting these outward bands, and we're in Florida. Okay, we're supposed to get up to 3 inches of rain today. That's off this all the way from Texas coming over here from the Gulf of Mexico. So that's how big this storm is. These are the outward bands that we're getting. It's just a reminder for us here in Florida that we could be having one soon, too. That we're right in the thick of hurricane season. So it does concern me. I mean, the things are ripe, you know, things calm down. Things were good. And, admittedly, because of this, don't have as much supplies on hand. So thanks to Sam's, we're going to go get some extra water and some extra canned goods and just extra items laying around. You should always have, supplies of some kind in the house. I'm not talking about a few things of canned vegetables, things you can open very easily, things you can eat maybe not even heating up. not just Vienna sausages, which something maybe a little better because lights could be out for a month. Depending on what the damage is, you might be stuck. But you're going to definitely want to have LED lighting. So cheap now. So cheap. Yeah, they have the designer LEDs too. The under the cabinet stuff where they're magnetic. You can put them on metal stuff and you put them up and man, they're super bright. They last forever. Some of them just run with AA battery, or AAA, whatever. But time to get your emergency lighting situation or food supply down. If you're in these prone areas, and you know that you could be stuck, possibly because these things fuel up really quick and you don't want to be last minute or, which I've encountered many times where the stores just don't have anything left and you're scurrying, trying to stuff. There's nothing more stressful. If you have a weak heart and you're running around trying to do all of this stuff, where people are stressing you out and you're stressed because of these things, that's where people start getting amped up and get upset. That's why I always say have your plan of survival, to survive whatever it is in place, so that way you're not stressing out. That's why people have insurance. This is your kind of insurance. So whenever I have an opportunity, when there's a storm, I'm going to say it. You know the drill. This is standard operating procedure here at For the People. I'm just going to warn you, I'm your good neighbor. Okay? And always have, I'm going to say, a weather radio. Battery powered. Make sure the batteries are good. And at the same time, check your smoke detectors. A lot of people don't check that. Yeah, that's right. You know what that is? Yeah, if there's a fire. Yeah, one of those, right. Yeah, remember it was chirping for a while, then it stopped going away? You need to change the battery. It actually saves lives. So do something. One of the fears in Texas, because of the storms and stuff, they're talking about gasoline going up real high. More than 45% of the country's refining capacity is along the Gulf Coast, and nearly a fifth of the nation's crude oil is produced offshore. So it's not just going to affect Texas, but it could affect us here. Now, the government said 9.6% of crude output capacity was shut, and 14.6% of natural gas production was halted. 3 refineries in Corpus Christi and one in Farther Island at Three Rivers was shutting down ahead of the storm, concerned that Harvey could cause shortages in fuel supplies, drove benchmark gasoline prices to a 3-week high. One other refinery reduced output, and others were considering shutting. And then prices for gasoline in spot physical markets on the Gulf Coast rose even more, hitting a 1-year high. Profit margins for refineries producing gasoline rose more than 12% on Thursday, on course for the biggest daily percentage gains in 6 months, according to Reuters. That's where I'm getting it. So the storm could also bring flooding to shale oil fields in southern Texas that produce more than 1 million barrels of oil a day. So if you see the gas prices go up, it probably is because of Texas if it's already happened. Watch those signs, and then you'll see it. But it does affect us. And yes, we do get a lot of oil from Texas. By the way, this is just very disturbing to see the pictures that have come in today. As you might know, divers have found the remains of a second missing sailor from the John S. McCain, the U.S. Navy vessel that collided with a tanker near Singapore this week. Well, Navy officials said the remains were found yesterday in a flooded compartment of the ship. The sailor was identified as an electronics technician, 3rd class Dustin Doyen of Connecticut. He was 26 years old. And that was a moment of silence for him. Now that 2 sailors remain unaccounted for, 8 others remain missing. They found the remains of 2 sailors, but other bodies are also believed to be in flooded compartments, but there's damage to the ship, and it's been hampering the access to be able to find others. And divers and equipment arrived overnight to continue search and recovery operations aboard the ship. Like I say, early today or yesterday, they recovered the remains of the 22-year-old electronics technician, 3rd class Kenneth Aaron Smith. So there's another one of New Jersey. Another moment of silence for him, Kenneth Aaron Smith. Folks, young kids enlisting to serve their country. And these mishaps, this is what, 4 of them? It just continues to happen, and a lot of it's just negligence on upper-tier management, lack of training. With all the electronics and all the amazing capabilities that these warships have, these destroyers, a tanker ran into it. It baffles my mind. I cannot tell you this is, and I know I'm not just the only one angered, but I had a tear in my eye. I mean, this morning, seeing the images of these kids, and it's, if it's kids, but it's, this wasn't wartime. I mean, accidents happen, but geez, this kind of accident? I mean, yeah, they let the skipper go, so to speak. The admiral, they dismissed him. They're investigating it, and who knows if the guy was sleeping? But his people should have been on their job because they didn't do their job. A lot of people apparently didn't because don't they have redundancy on these naval ships? I've spoken to people that are on these ships in big positions, and they do have protocol. I don't know if everybody was drinking. Everybody was on shore leave and still drunk. I mean, what in the world is happening here, folks? This is ridiculous. And to have these fine, bright people, specialists, that weren't able to give their full service to our country, and to be able to come back to their families, I mean, this is sickening. It's deplorable. It gives me a bad taste in my mouth. We can do better than this, and this is really an embarrassment to our fleet. And for those that do serve excellently and do their jobs perfectly, and these guys were sleeping. Most of these guys that died or end up missing were sleeping in their quarters and had put their full faith in the rest of the team and to the captain that they were in good hands, and you're supposed to take care of each other. Now, I've heard some Marines say that would have never happened if it was them. Listen, you can say that. But listen, when it's all said and done, we're all serving the same country under the same flag, under the same God. So you can't go there. I hope and I pray that something really positive comes out of this, that we never have this happen again, no matter how many extra people have to be aboard to make this happen. But we're better than this, and we have been better than this. You don't hear many other countries having these issues, as many issues that we have, though we have a large fleet. What do we have, 13 destroyers in the Pacific? Was it 12 in the Atlantic, 13 in the Pacific, something to that number? Pretty great number. China, I think, is the only one that really is starting to catch up, if not beat us on the numbers of destroyers, because they really have built up their Navy. They really have. Unbelievable. Prayers to the family for the bad news. Continuing search efforts underway. More divers trying to get into these compartments to rescue these sailors. Again, it's sad, but I hope to God they can. And I was kind of thinking about it when I was seeing the damage to the ship. It would be nice to think that some of these Navy ships